Today in Review This Thing, we're going to review this thing, the First Lite Corrugate Foundry Pants. Before we get into talking about the First Lite Corrugate Foundry Pants, help us out, let YouTube know that our videos are good videos, subscribe, click the notification bell, like it, share it, comment if you have these pants or you have any other questions. Please comment below and we'll hopefully be able to help you out and answer those questions. Now that we've covered all that, let's go ahead and dig into the First Lite Corrugate Foundry Pants. So these pants just came out a few weeks ago. I bought these pants. I was really excited. I have some of the Corrugate guide pants and the link to that review is below in the description, but I was really excited to get these, to try them out. There's a few features they added that I was really excited to see. Let's cover the facts. The first part is fit. First thing is first, these are a men's pant. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that typically I can't wear women's pants. One thing that's neat about the Corrugate Foundry pants is that they come in sizes, so you can get a 30-30 or a 34 whatever and be able to buy that specific numeric size. I bought a 30-30 because that's the smallest that these came in. I actually measured the waist with a fabric tape measure, and the inside of the waistband actually measures more like 32. My waist the other day, and it's like 28, 29, somewhere in that range. So these are quite a bit too big around the waist for me. One cool thing though, they do come with suspenders. You don't have to buy them extra. The 30-inch inseam is really close to that 30 inches, and my inseam is right at 30, so these fit perfectly. Because of that, that articulated knee actually hits me right at my knee, which is, I would think with these, is pretty critical because it is a pretty obvious articulation. So especially if you're going to wear those knee pads, you want to make sure that that knee is as close to your knee as possible. One thing with the sizing I did find a little bit weird. If you get a 30-inch waist, the only length you can buy is 30 inches. So if you happen to be a thinner guy with longer legs, then you're kind of out of luck. Or if you're a bigger guy, they don't really come in those shorter sizes. So even though you may be a 38, 30, you're going to have to buy pants that are too long. The seat and the legs on these are roomy enough so that you do feel like you have some air moving. The back on them I felt like is a little high. I was a little not sure if I was going to like that, but I kind of did with the suspenders because you didn't have to worry about your shirt coming untucked or your pants sliding down whenever you were, sitting down by the tree. There is a good amount of room in the legs. They don't get really tight around the knees like some other hunting pants do. So I definitely also like that part. So how are we going to score fit? So first of all, I can't be unfair and score it based on exactly how they fit me because they're not designed for me. But lengthwise they're good, the knees are in the right place. So just because I measured the inside of the waist and it's bigger than 30 inches, and it would have definitely fit me better if it was really 30 inches, I'm going to have to take some points off for that. So because of that, I'm going to give fit a 4 out of 5. Now, are the First Lite Corrugate Foundry Pants as advertised? The first thing First Lite claims is that these are designed to handle any situation. Now, I probably didn't put it through any situation paces. There was no bouldering or climbing through gravel or anything like that. But with turkey hunting, I did do a lot of crawling, line prone, sitting in roots and dirt, climbing ditches, all that kind of good stuff. And they held up really well for me. There were a few briar patches that we went through and didn't have any issues with them getting picked or ripped or anything like that. These pants also claim to have a 2-layer waterproof membrane at the knees and the seat so that if you're sitting, kneeling, crawling, then you won't get wet. While we were turkey hunting, we never really ran into any rain or the ground was never really wet, so I didn't get to test that very much. We do this water test on all of our pants and just spray us down a little bit, see how it holds up. The pants themselves did seem to hold up and be fairly waterproof, but whenever I took them off, I think some water must have gotten in through the zipper because the sides of the pants I had on underneath them were definitely damp. So likely they are pretty waterproof, water repellent at the seat and the knees. They also advertise these integrated leg zippers really help make it easy to get to your base layers and to dump heat in those hotter temperatures. One of the days I wore these, it was like 80 something degrees and we'd been hiking a lot, so it was getting very, very hot. And for whatever reason, I don't know what, if it's just because the material is thicker anyway, but even with the legs unzipped, I didn't feel like it really did a whole lot to cool me off. That's one thing that I feel like didn't really do what I felt like it was supposed to do. Zippered legs help, but they don't really dump as much heat as I felt like I wanted them to. And finally, they advertised that the nylon spandex hybrid material they're made of helps with ease of movement. The reinforced fabric at the knees and the rear aren't near as stretchy and flexible as the rest of the pants, but I never really noticed that being an issue. I didn't feel like I ever was hindered in squatting and climbing and all those things I mentioned. So I feel like they definitely do that. So are these pants as advertised? It definitely keeps you drier. They're very flexible, easy to move, that sort of thing. The biggest disappointment that I had was that I did not feel like the leg vents did as much to get the heat out of my legs as I needed them to. So because of that, I'm gonna have to give, are the First Lite Corrugate Foundry Pants as advertised, I'm gonna say 4 out of 5. Now on to construction and durability. Let's talk about durability first. These have only been out a couple months, so I've only been able to use them for, a few weeks. Therefore, I can't really talk about long-term durability. The short-term durability, crawling, climbing, squatting, kneeling, all that kind of good stuff, and they held up really well. Do have a little bit of stitching on the embroidery that's coming loose, but that doesn't matter at all to me. So it's more the fabric itself. No tears, no holes. The zippers are still working well. As far as construction, I do really like the ability to buy different specific sizes. I do wish that it came in at maybe a 28 just to give, me and maybe some of the smaller guys another option. And maybe better to have more length and waist sizing option. As far as the hip vents, I already talked about them a little bit, so I won't go into that part of it. But one thing that I found a little odd was that they didn't have a mesh lining. So the day that I was wearing them, I ended up zipping them back up just because when I was sitting on the ground, there wasn't anything to protect me from bugs or debris or anything like that. I also had a couple of issues with the design of these suspenders. So these suspenders have a 2-point contact design, which I think is supposed to make it like less contact points, less friction maybe. I had a lot of trouble with them because to get them short enough to hold my pants up, well, I put them on backwards one time, and then in the back of the suspenders really just rubbed my neck all day. It was very frustrating. We spun them around, we figured that out and fixed it, and it wasn't as bad, but where they cross in the back still sits really high on my neck, so I did not like that. Another aspect of construction is the knee pads. I never really wore them for a couple reasons. One is because you have to put them in from the inside and you have to put them in from the bottom up. And that to me was just too complicated to do on the fly. I didn't want to wear them all day because if I was just hiking around, I didn't need to crawl. I didn't want to have these on. The pants get narrower around the knee, and so when I tried to wear them, I just felt like they were pushing against my knee the whole time. And also maybe if there was a way to put them in from the outside, then you could just carry them in your pack, and then if you know you're getting ready to crawl, you could just pop them out and slide them in. Obviously, if you do that, you're opening up room to get debris in, things like that, but I never found a good way to wear these. But again, I wasn't really on like gravel and things like that. I do like all the pockets. They're very roomy. The zipper pockets help make sure things are secured. I thought I was gonna like that the pockets are on the front of these pants. They're here because of the hip vents, so they can't really be on the side. But I found this trip that I would have preferred them to be on the side. Because when you're sitting with your legs all up, it's really hard to get in that pocket on the front, where on the side you can slide in a little bit easier. And then finally, probably the part I like least about the pants is that they're not very quiet at all. So if you're walking for a while, you're definitely going to hear that swishing sound. So because of all those things we talked about, I'm going to have to give construction and durability a 3.7 out of 5. Now on to testimonials and reviews. These can only be purchased from First Lite, so that's the only place I can get reviews. Overall, people love these pants. They get really high scores. There were a few things people pointed out, so that's what I want you to know about. One of the most common reports is that the pants were way too noisy. We've already kind of talked about that, so I won't go into that anymore. Another person talked about they really wish there were more length to waist sizing options, especially because of that articulated knee, and it being pretty important with the knee pad that knee is in the right place. Some people just say that they fit weird. They didn't really specify what that meant, other than a couple of people mentioned that there was too much room in the seat and the thighs, and then they got too skinny at the bottom of the leg. And then also finally that they don't really have wide enough legs to fit over the top of your boots. Overall, we're going to give you the score that we found, which is 4.88 out of 5. Okay, now for what you really wanted, probably even fast forwarded to this spot. Should you buy this thing? I know we sound like a broken record, but it really depends on what you're looking for. One of the big things for me, especially for turkey season, is I wanted to be able to have, rugged enough pants to not get picked by briars if I have to go through there, but also not get too hot. And these pants definitely did not do that for me. The couple days that I wore them, that the weather was pretty in the 80s, they were super hot. yeah, I could not wait to get them off because of that hot factor. Some of the upgrades I think would be probably great for Western hunts with more rugged terrain, the reinforced seat in the knees. The solid patterns retail for $190 and the camo version retails for $200. To me, that's a lot of money to not do what I wanted. Now, if you're looking for pants that do the things that I mentioned and being cooler isn't really key, then go for it. This is probably going to fit the bill for you exactly what you need. But if you're looking for pants that I was looking for, then unfortunately I'm going to have to give this a pretty low score. So should you buy these things for $200, I'm going to have to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching our video. Before you leave, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, watch a few other videos while you're here. If you have these pants, comment below, or if you have any other questions. And take a second and follow us on Instagram and on Facebook.